So we heard some major news out just today that President Trump is proposing a 45% reduction on tariffs on China. That's actually pretty big, but many people are freaking out saying that this is exactly what we needed. But then you have other experts saying that no, this isn't exactly what we needed, but it's a positive sign. Today, we're going to break this down. We're going to talk about why this is a positive sign. This is a step in the right direction, but we're not out of the woods just yet. So I'm going to break all this down in just a moment, explain what is going on and how this is still going to impact you in the very near future. But before I get to the update, I do ask one thing. Takes 2 seconds. Go ahead, hit that like button if you enjoy these daily updates. And now let's begin. So here's what President Trump had to say today. He says Trump says 80% China tariff seems right ahead of talks. What we know is that the Treasury Secretary is going to have a discussion and potentially negotiate the tariffs with China. This is going to happen tomorrow. But I want to read you a little bit of this article first. It says right here, U.S. President Donald Trump floated an 80% tariff on China ahead of negotiations, due to begin Saturday as he urged Beijing to do more to open their markets to U.S. goods. It goes on to say, 80% tariff on China seems right. It's up to Scott B. or Scott Bessent, Trump said in the social media post. He says, China should open up its markets to USA. Would be so good for them. Closed markets don't work anymore. And that's true. But China is going through some issues of their own. So whether or not they agree to an 80% tariff, I don't know. But here's what we do know. China was not hit with a 145% tariff. The reason why China currently has a 145% tariff is because when President Trump came out and proposed that 34% tariff on China, this was in addition to the 20% minimum, which meant it was a 54% tariff. That was the beginning. That was before this trade war really started, where Trump says we're going to do this, and China says, well, we're going to retaliate and we're going to charge you this. And they went back and forth, finally settled on 125% each. But keep in mind, China still has an additional 20% the United States imposed. That's why they're at 145% versus the United States, where we're at 125%. Now, I want to read a little bit more of this to you. It says right here, Bessent and U.S. Trade Representative Jamieson Greer are set to begin talks with Chinese Vice Premier He Lifeng in Switzerland this weekend. The first public discussions between the world's two largest economies on diffusing a trade war that has seen Trump impose 145% levies on China and Beijing retaliate with 125% duties on many American goods. That's where everything's at. Now, why is this a big deal? It's a big deal because this is coming in a very, very important time. Look at this. It says the first Chinese freight ship goods hit with Trump's 145% plus tariffs arriving at U.S. ports. The first Chinese freight ships that have the goods that are coming with 145% tariffs, they're hitting our ports. This means prices are about to go up. We've known this for several weeks, that according to multiple experts, according to White House officials and economists, they are saying that the price increases, the surge in prices, is going to happen sometime in May. It's May 9th. We are potentially days away. So this negotiation that's going to happen tomorrow in Switzerland, this is extremely important. Let me read you a few of the key points here. It says right here, 12,000 shipping containers in all are on the first flotilla of freight vessels from China with goods for Amazon, Home Depot, IKEA, Ralph Lauren, Tractor Supply, Procter & Gamble, LG, and Samsung, among others. President Trump, again, said today that he might be willing to lower tariffs on China to 80%. That's still a substantial increase. So for all those people saying, yes, this is exactly what we needed. We need to bring the tariff down. That's actually higher than what it initially was. Keep in mind, it was 54% total. Now we're sitting at 80%. That's the negotiation. I don't think Trump settles on 80%. I don't think China accepts 80%. I think what they do is they negotiate the original 34%. I think that's what they're going to try to do. And so when we learn a little bit more about this, probably in the next few days, well, I think some good news is going to come out of it. I think China will accept a tariff on their goods, but they also have to bring down the tariff on U.S. goods as well. That's what's going to be the best thing, not just for the United States, but for China as well. But look at this. I think this is absolutely crazy, but this is happening. This is like, Fast and Furious all over again. It says cargo thieves are attacking the U.S. supply chain at alarming rates. It says there's been a record surge in cargo theft in which criminal networks in the U.S. and abroad exploit technology intended to improve supply chain efficiency and use it to steal truckloads of valuable products. Yeah, this is Fast and Furious all over again, where people got Dominic Toretto and his team going out there and jacking trucks, right, and taking all the valuable inventory. Yeah, it is turning into an issue. Now, here's the problem though. If we see thieves steal all the products, that creates an issue for our supply chain because we have the demand is pretty much set, but yet the supply drops, which means prices go up. Now, here's the other problem. Look at what the Federal Reserve had to say. This is Michael Barr. He's one of the people on the Federal Reserve. He says he expects high inflation and slow growth from tariffs. That's what he just said. Here's why this is going to impact millions of Americans. Number one, if we see tariffs go from 145% down to 80%, let's just say that's where it's going to be. What you're going to experience is people are going to kind of rationalize their spending and be like, you know what? It's not that much more. It's a little bit more, but it's not like 100% plus. I can afford to spend a little bit more, right? That's what we're going to see. People are going to rationalize their spending. Here's the issue. As soon as more and more Americans start to rationalize their spending, we see additional inflation. Prices are going to go up, they're going to surge, and more people are going to struggle. And that's going to happen for shoppers for Walmart, Target, Home Depot, Costco, right? Sam's Club, the Best Buy, the list goes on and on. Now, I just want to bring this to your attention. I don't know if we see an 80% tariff. But if we do, that is still higher than what President Trump initially was proposing. That's the issue. So President Trump coming out and saying that he thinks 80% is right. Well, if he thought 80% was right, why wouldn't he have done that initially? What he's trying to do is trying to get China at the table and start negotiating. If Trump says 80%, and I've told you this before, initially he said we're just going to keep going up. He said 145%. If he brings it down to 80%, if that's what he's saying, there's a very good chance it's coming closer to 50%. Okay? If not a little bit lower. Trump isn't one of those people that says, okay, let's do 80. He gives himself some wiggle room. That's what he does. That's how he negotiates. It's nothing new. We've seen it time and time again. This is just another one of those cases. So, if you think now's the time to rush out there and go buy something at an 80% increase, well, you don't really need to do it. Don't go and panic buy. Because again, I think the longer this goes on between the United States and China, I think we get out of it in a better spot. But it's going to take some time. So, we'll see what happens, but that's what we know as of today. So again, thank you guys for watching. Consider subscribing, and I'll see you guys on the next one.